Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this Blitz chess post-mortem video. This is a post-mortem of my Blitz chess game number 78, where I was black. I played the French defense, and my opponent selected the Tarrasch variation. So let's check it out. e4, e6, d4, d5, knight d2, the Tarrasch. Knight c3, e5, and e takes d5 are the other ideas. This one is the win hour or the classical. This is the advance, and that's the exchange French. So Tarrasch, and I played c5, the most popular move here. And normally white will follow up with e takes d5, basically just giving black an isolated queen's pawn and then playing against that in kind of an open game. Or if he wants to keep it closed, he can play knight g to f3. This move c3 is pretty unusual, and if you look at the computer, it thinks it's pretty much even after this. So somehow white has given away his opening advantage by playing this move c3. But I've seen it before, I believe, in play. It's funny. And then knight gf3. Now still about an even game. And then I play queen b6, which is probably not the best move here. I should probably, engine suggests just taking on d4, and I think I've done that in the past. I was just experimenting with something different, and it's not as good. But anyway, you got to try new things now and then. Bishop d3, and now c takes d4, and this actually allows me to win a pawn. But if we back up a little bit, did he have to? Yeah, he could have just left it there and castled as well, also winning a pawn. But there's just different ways of gambiting a pawn. So this point here, I guess after queen b6, I'm threatening to take that pawn, and bishop d3 is one of the computer moves. So the computer thinks this is an okay gambit. I guess that's what I was getting to. He could just try again playing e takes d5 if he doesn't want to gambit a pawn here. But this allows me to win a pawn, so I take it. And a lot of times this is a losing move because of this indirect attack on the queen, and the bishop comes here with check. But in this case, the check doesn't win the queen, but the computer still thinks bishop b5 with check ought to be played, and that's the way for white to keep an advantage. Even though a pawn down, if you look at this, bishop b5 check, and I'm keeping the engine on for this video. I think most of the interesting tactics got played, so no quizzes this time. We'll just have the engine on. But there were some interesting lines to follow. So bishop b5 check, and if the king doesn't want to move, it interposes the bishop. But then there's a trade of bishops. Now the king loses his castling privileges, and white just castles, and looks like a good position for white. He's down a pawn, but my king is in the center, and he can continue attacking. So more than enough compensation for the pawn. So maybe taking the pawn was a bit reckless. But he didn't play that way. He played knight f3, kicking my queen. And now I should have thrown in this move, bishop b4 check. I didn't notice that until the next move here. He takes, and then I realize, I can throw in this bishop b4 check and start sorting out my kingside problems. And from here, the game is about even, and it stays even for a while. So even though white is a pawn down, he has enough compensation, and just gradually, you see the score slowly creeps up. So this knight g5 move maybe was not the most accurate. He could have played a4 or h3. Let's see, was there a better move along here besides a check? Queen e2 check was the most accurate way to continue here, and this was kind of interesting. So queen e2 check, and then bishop e6 to block it, and then this bishop check. So what the queen e2 did, it did two things, right? It checked along this file, but it also supported the bishop along this diagonal. And now the bishop is pinned, so I can't block, and says the best move is just king f8. And so once again, white has gotten compensation for his lost pawn due to my lack of castling privileges and his advantage in development. So he missed that opportunity. He played rook fe1 check, a very logical move, and then knight g5. And the thing is, I just don't mind him taking this bishop. It brings a pawn to the center, and it gets rid of one of his attacking pieces. And now, now that I've sort of consolidated, you see I have a significant advantage here. So that's a problem with sacrificing a pawn or something. If you don't get your follow-up you're looking for, then you don't. If you don't get the follow-up, then sometimes you end up just being down material and in a losing position. So here, I guess queen g5 wasn't a good move because of my reply. If you didn't see the game and you want to guess the best move for black, you'd have to cover up the right side of the video, but you can play the guess the move for black. It was the move I actually played. It's kind of a cute move. Not too hard to see. I'm going to go ahead and give the answer away now, so if you're still thinking, pause the video. But the answer is knight e4. And it's just a triple attack on this f2 pawn, and the pawn is pinned, so it can't be moved, and it just can't be defended. What he played, queen e3, one of the best moves here, but I can go ahead and grab that pawn anyway. Rook supports the knight, and if the queen takes it, the queen comes in. So that knight cannot be taken. He can't take here with check. What he can do, though, is he can trade queens. And now his knight is threatening this pawn. But his rook is threatening the pawn on e6, but knight is threatening his bishop. So this all works out. The tactics all just work out, and now I'm a solid pawn up here. And playing, okay, oh, what? For a second there. I just thought about it some more. Okay, it didn't give me a solid pawn. It's half a pawn, but it's some advantage. That's interesting. So it doesn't think, it thinks I should play rook f6. Yeah, this is a nice technique to know. You know, instead of defending your rook from behind, defend it from this. Instead of defending your pawn from behind, defend it from the side with rook f6, and then that allows you to bring the other rook over and double on the f file. And just as a more flexible position for the rook. When you put your rook behind a pawn, unless it's a passed pawn that you're going to push home, sometimes it's a more passive position for the rook. It doesn't have as much activity there. So how could he have punished that? He should have played h3 and tried to trap my knight. He played some other move, and now my knight escapes. And I'm a pretty solid pawn up here. But actually, right here, I make a mistake. My opponent is low on time at this point and is playing kind of fast. And I wasn't pausing to consider the best moves here. But if you see, the best move by far here is rook f7. And the move I tried, you know, I just didn't like losing both of these pawns. I was thinking of playing e5, which is the second best move here, and I thought, but that loses two pawns, and is it really going to be worth it? These pawns on the queen side might become a menace. So I came up with this idea of d4, with the idea of playing knight to d5 to defend the other b pawn. It's just not as good. And now, yeah, it goes to zeros at this point. Yeah, so this game should be drawn. And really, it's just because my opponent misses one trick here in time trouble. I'm threatening mate. I'm threatening rook f1. Oops, that was a terrible arrow. This arrow. Rook f1 mate, because the bishop defends that square. So he needs to play a move like h4 or h3 to defend the king. And then it's still a drawn game. So 0-0s, that means as even as the computer can tell. So he was playing with just seconds on his clock. He played rook d7 and allowed me to mate him, and that ended the game. So thought that was kind of an interesting game. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave any comments you have in the section below, and I will see you again later. Bye.